It looks like the GOP's shaping up for a baker's dozen worth of candidates as another one joins the list. Hi my little flavors, welcome to another episode of the Motley Stew Show, where we try to cut through the noise in the echo chamber and politics and the national news and see if we can figure out what the real story is, who these people really are, and why should I care? This week is prepped to be another round of announcements for presidential candidates in the GOP side and possibly from the Democratic side, but the only one to actually announce this week so far is former senator and former presidential candidate Rick Santorum. Now, Santorum ran for president back in 2012 and came in second, getting himself a shiny silver medal, but that really doesn't mean much this time around, with a presidential candidate field that is growing by the day, and people who are fighting for that same social conservative bloc that he had back then. Now, his formal announcement, which happened today, was only done in front of a few hundred people, and not the biggest crowd by far that we've seen, but that fits right in with his grassroots strategy. You're more likely to see him in coffee shops and town halls than in front of really massive rallies. During his speech, he brought up a lump of coal to actually give a visual representation of his family's connection to that town and the coal mining industry, and then he went on to attack big government and big labor. But he failed to admit or recognize the fact that big labor or labor unions, one of their staunchest allies throughout history has been the coal miners. But that's just history, so we can ignore that. So for those of you who don't really know who Rick Santorum is, Google him. I mean, don't Google him. Thanks to Dan Savage, a columnist and activist for gay rights, the name Santorum is now synonymous with a particular byproduct of a particular sex act and could possibly give a red flag on your work computer where you might be watching this right now. So I'll save you the visit by your boss. In 2012, coming in second, he won 11 states nationally, coming in with just under 4 million votes. Also in 2012, he won the Iowa caucus, which is the first contest in the country, but it was awarded to Mitt Romney by 8 votes. Now, due to the fact that the vote count was so close, they went through again and made sure, but what they found out was they were wrong. Santorum had actually won by over 30 votes. By the time that recount was done, though, it was 2 weeks later, and the news was basically over. No one really cared about the Iowa caucus anymore because they'd already moved on to different primaries. Santorum, to this day, says if he had actually been awarded the Iowa caucus originally, that he would have not only taken the GOP nomination, but taken the White House as well. Now, Santorum and his wife have 7 children, the youngest of which is Bella, who is actually 7 years old. She suffers from a condition known as trisomy 18, otherwise known as Edwards syndrome, and usually this is a fatal condition. Most people don't make it past the first week or even the first year, but she's survived, beating a lot of the odds. Him and his wife also recently wrote a book about Bella and about their struggles with her condition, its effect on their lives, and its effect on his 2012 candidacy. Now, Santorum refers a lot to the time that he was in the Senate and how much he got done in those 15 years. But he doesn't mention the fact that that was 10 years ago, and when he ran for his Senate seat the 3rd time in Pennsylvania, he got absolutely trounced by 18 points and lost to current Senator Bob Casey Jr. Now that you know a couple things about his past, let's look at where he stands right now in the campaign and in the current field. Now on the GOP side, it is already crowded, and there's almost double the amount of people still waiting in the wings yet to announce. He used to have a pretty solid hold on religious and social conservatives, but that hold is going to be tested now by Senator Ted Cruz, by retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson, by former Governor Mike Huckabee, and even by Governor Bobby Jindal, who hasn't announced yet, but if he does, he also is going to hold on to that area. Now, that growing onslaught of GOP candidates is causing another headache for Santorum because Fox News has just announced that during their debate in August, they will only allow 10 people on stage. Those candidates are likely to be picked by who's polling in the top 10. At the beginning of May, Santorum was only polling at 2% and tied for 10th place. So there is a currently strong chance that he might not even make it to the stage for the Fox debate. But that's months away and a lot can change. Another issue has been the people that he had in his 2012 campaign close to him. He's lost many of that inner circle to other campaigns this time around. 2 people have gone over to the Rand Paul campaign, and 4 people have gone over to the Huckabee campaign. And also, Huckabee counts in his corner the now infamous Duggar clan, which Santorum should be glad that he doesn't have hanging around his neck this time around. He also lost the locally famous Chuck the truck driving icon to the sometimes it's a joke but really it's not a joke but really it is a joke Trump campaign. Santorum's people, on the other hand, have issued a statement saying many of those people either were not invited back, or when they were, they wanted too much money and they couldn't afford them. But the optics still are not good for someone who currently is being seen as a very, very dark horse candidate. Now, one person who still is in Santorum's corner is the multimillionaire mutual fund master Foster Friess, who almost single-handedly kept his campaign alive in 2012. He's back again for the 2016 round, but this time he says he's going to try to do a little better job of hiding his money and hiding his influence on the Santorum campaign. He says the reasoning is he didn't like all the negative attention that the Santorum campaign got because of stuff that he did or said, like this contraceptive thing. My gosh, it's so inexpensive. Back in my days, they used bare aspirin for contraceptives. The gals put it between their knees, and it wasn't all that costly. That quote left MSNBC's Andrew Mitchell speechless. Also, here's a tip for you, Mr. Friess. If you're going to try to hide your money and its influence, don't announce that you're going to try to hide your money and its influence. You're only making people going to look for it harder. You just put an X marks the spot on your wallet. Santorum's announcement speech was fairly light on specifics about certain policies and details of what he would do as president, but if you want to watch the whole thing, I'll post a link to it down below, and I'll give you some of the highlights right now. Completely destroy the tax code and eliminate the IRS. Popular choice among the GOP. Institute a flat tax. Popular choice among the GOP, but not a popular choice with people who actually understand economics, like economists. Revoke every executive order and regulation that cost American jobs. Now again, he wasn't very specific about what those regulations were, but trust me, I'm sure he has it written down as a list somewhere. Kill Common Core. Outlaw abortion completely, which would require overturning the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade, but if he was president and could stack the court again, that could be done. Now he's currently avoiding name-checking any of his GOP opponents, but he did set his sights firmly on Hillary Clinton, the presumptive Democratic nominee. Now this is actually a good tactic for him because it gives the idea and the optics that he is at her level nationally, which polling-wise he is not, but it can only help him. Now in the coming months he's going to be interviewed a number of times and he's going to be asked to talk about some of his former positions and former quotes, like saying that he thinks insurance companies should be able to charge people with pre-existing conditions more money. Side note, little tidbit for you. One of those pre-existing conditions that was popular with insurance companies? Being a female. He also said Obamacare was like apartheid, same-sex marriage would destroy America, and women shouldn't serve in combat roles in military because of emotions that might be involved. But that was way back in 2012, and that's plenty of time to change your ideas to fit with a really fluctuating voting public. Santorum is currently wearing his underdog status as a badge of honor, but let's see how long that badge shines. So that brings me to the question for this week. What do you think of former Senator Rick Santorum? Does he rile you up in a bad way, or does he stoke your patriotic fervor? Leave a comment down below and let me know. And thanks again for watching another episode of the Motley Stew Show. People are beginning to comment more, leaving some positive and negative comments, and don't worry, I love them both. If you haven't already, this would be an awesome time to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and add your own personal flavor to the stew. You can also share, favorite, and like this video, all of which help grow the audience and the show. Stay tuned for next week, and as always, here's a little bit of Logan. One more time.
That's it.
Yoing.
That's it. Worth it.
What?
Worth it.
You want to sit? That's a somersault.
Doing.
Mama time.
Now, Santorum ran for president back in 2012 and actually came in second, getting a shiny silver medal, but that really doesn't mean much. Sherbert.